So one of the great powers, one of the great that's right. One of the great powers, one of the great strengths of the Preliminary Liberating Instructions, whichever tradition it is, or the Nundro, is gathering this great vision of virtue, what you're resting on, what your real strength is. So to me, this is one of the reasons why it really works. Now, by the way, no technique works. You have to have the right attitude. You have to be infused with the right vision, really understand what you're doing, unless you're a profoundly deep faith type and you really have such a extraordinary connection. But this resting in stainless virtue as your nature, free of all fabrications, is really what we're dedicating. We're dedicating that, and we're reaching to become that nature. So the next line on page 11 in the root text is dedicating together in the expanse of awakening, the expanse of awakening. Having arrived the state of knowledge of the victors with their children. So this expression, the expanse of awakening, is the great expanse of Dzogchen, or the great perfection. It's the infinite dimension of Buddha nature. This is what we want to experience. This is what we want to glimpse. This is what we want to develop definitive surety in. And then it says, having arrived the state of knowledge of the victors, the Gyalwei, with their children. So I think most of you know this, is when it says the children of the victors, it means the bodhisattvas of the Buddhas. So another way of perhaps translating this or interpreting it would be having arrived at the realization of the knowledge of emptiness and compassion of the Buddhas, the victors, and bodhisattvas, their children. That's what we're on about, and that's what we're dedicating to all sentient beings. May the state of knowledge of the Sugatas be totally perfected, page 12. And looking at this, again, this footnote 24 is understanding that Sugatas is short for those who've gone into great bliss, not bliss, great bliss, which is the realization of emptiness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I give an explanation of why we need to focus on that, and that's something I went over this morning, which is if we don't aim high, we generally will aim low.
Yeah.
Really, it's true. If we don't really go for great realization, we may be just resting in some very partial realization. It's kind of like, yeah, I'd like to have medical treatment from a doctor that passed 50% of their exams. Yeah. Or 20%. How's that? 20%.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh dear. Therefore, it's in everybody's best interest to acknowledge and also to study with accomplished beings, but also really aim for the Buddha Kayas, the Buddha bodies, and the 5 primordial wisdoms. So the next paragraph, I give a feeling of what it's like to ignore the path of liberation, to try to stay away from it. It's like being basically in a room with the curtains drawn,
Yeah.
and constantly taking a peek outside, but you would never dare go outside. This is the path of liberation. So always taking a peek, backing off, taking a peek, backing off, and someone has to actually pull the curtains with you, right? They have to show you. Yeah. So the great aid of beings is the human beings that can actually help you pull back the curtain. That's Dharma teaching. That's why you go for Dharma teachings, pulling back the curtain. Oh my gosh, I think I always knew that, but now I'm ready for it. So that's important. And of course, what's in the way is fear. So we take small peeks at the vast view, and eventually, through blessings, through accomplishment and blessings, we go for a walk outside. So it is, you have to have someone that introduces you to the view. Otherwise, you'll be maybe looking in your refrigerator for liberation. Yeah? Sound familiar? You're gonna look in your refrigerator, look at that Dharma text on your bookshelf. Is it in here? Right? Is it in the microphone? Is it online? Can I get liberation online? Where do I find liberation? So you have to have people really helping you, show you where the liberation is found. Where is it? Only one place, where all experience happens. That's going to take training to be able to look into where all experience happens, it's the source. So that's called the view. Darsana, or taba. So it takes two people to do this, not just a teacher. It takes the confidence and the faith and devotion of the practitioner working, as the ninth Karmapa would say, working with the Lama, working with the Guru to part the curtain. It's not a one-way thing. You just don't go, the teacher, you don't say, oh, I'm studying under so-and-so. No, I'm working with so-and-so. I study with so-and-so. It's a mutual decision. So in the case of Chikawa Dorje, the great expounder of the mind training, he spent 2 years. I think every year he'd ask his teacher, when am I going to get this mind training? Yeah, it's good. He says, isn't that the heart of the Maya? Do you have this teaching, this transmission? Mm-hmm. I think it was only in the 3rd year that he received the transmission and teaching. He stayed for another 9 years or 10 years. And the story goes, his teacher berated him. Now, you notice that the mind training is never berate anybody, right? Well, the great master of mind training, guess what his teacher did? He drove him to dust. He literally ground him to dust. Yeah. Would criticize him all the time to free up his pride, free up his ability to take anything on and be there for any being. Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic training. Carmel Akshay? Yes. We can, yeah, you can just, that's good. That's a question. So it's very, very hard to have the confidence that this pervasive Buddha nature is already there, and it's already there in all sentient beings. Where's the first place you may glimpse it? In another person. Usually even before yourself. So what are most of the Westerners trying to do? I'll beat up on Westerners for a moment, but just for a moment. No, I mean in a good way. Trying to do it themselves. It's a lot faster to actually see it in another than see it in yourself. Gain confidence in another and realize that is also my nature. Really, much faster. The 4th Chetsang Rinpoche said, quote, just this uncontrived pure awareness that you have is the spiritual master. So when you're looking at the spiritual master, whoever that is, who is it that you're seeing? Remember back. When you have any experience, whatever is in that experience is your mind, is the nature of your mind. So when you experience the outer teacher, what actually are you experiencing? Your own being. Right? And whatever defilements are present will go on to that being who's teaching. Get it? And as you purify, you may then see more purified qualities, which means you can see more purified qualities of yourself. So, read this again. Just this uncontrived, unfabricated, unconstructed pure awareness that you have is a spiritual master, the meditation deity. The meditation deity and the 3 roots have always been part of you since the beginning. That is the realization. That's called Guru Yoga. That is the discovery. This has always been my nature. That's the discovery. This isn't something made up and you go, oh, it's very poetic. Don't believe this is poetic. Don't believe this is Eastern poetic writing. It's not. It's exactly the experience, the discovery. This has always been my nature. So it's the guru who helps give us confidence to keep pulling back the curtain, step outside and go for a walk in the manner of a bodhisattva. If we don't keep getting reinforced to walk, to step out like a bodhisattva, how are we going to step out? In our own conditioning. In our own conditioning. So really, in some ways, when it says uncontrived, in the back of your mind, whenever you meditate, whenever you're practicing, always get the BS detector. You know BS? BS?
Yeah. Oh, yes, yeah.
BS. Get the, like some device here. Get the BS detector going and always feeling whether there's contrivance and trying to get out of a fabricated, contrived state. Just try it. Just ask yourself, am I contriving? When you're in the garden, when you're cooking, when you're speaking, is this a contrived, built up, fabricated? You should be able to detect it. You should feel it. Next line.
Yeah.
The great stages are pervaded by the demonstration of the wheel of knowledge and liberation. The Venerable Namjen Rinpoche, at least as I heard it, would often say something like, not only does one attain liberation, but one has to know what has been attained. So that is this statement here of knowledge and liberation. Not only do you need to know that there's liberation, what has occurred, how you're going to manifest it, what's dropped away. It's an accomplishment to make a great cup of tea in the tradition of Namjen Rinpoche, as he often would say. If you can't make a cup of tea well, you can't become enlightened. And I would take that seriously. He meant that seriously, joking and seriously. If you can't actually have the interest, all the factors, the 37 factors, to make a really fine cup of tea consistently, then how are you going to ever have the factors to realize Buddha nature? So the test, of course, was, can you make a good cup of tea?
Yeah.
Use that as a metaphor. So when, for not just for our benefit, but when profound insight and realization dawns, we're being asked how to clearly demonstrate by manifestation what has been abandoned in the fruition and what has been what liberated qualities are now available. That takes time. It may not be available for a while. You actually have to see what skills, what qualities have come out. That can take months or years to be able to see how this realization of freedom or emptiness or unobstructedness is now going to be manifest through your being. We have to know. In other words, what is one going to do with this liberation? One can have the experience of liberation of an affliction, but does one know what it is, what's been liberated, the cause, and how to apply this knowledge for the benefit of beings? So this word, rigdrol, really means liberated awareness. We have to liberate the conditioned awareness from the stainless awareness. This is the real great insight. Rig. And for liberation or deliverance, which in Sanskrit, you've probably heard this word is moksha. Right? Have you heard the word moksha? Right? Liberation, deliverance, moksha. Yeah. And of course, the wheel is korlo, and tempa, or tempe, is to teach the Dharma, and to demonstrate. So it's one thing to be liberated, but how is one going to demonstrate liberation? How is one going to manifest it, demonstrate it, lead beings to that realization? That takes skill. That really takes skill. And that is why it said the generation stage practices are excellent for developing that skill.
Okay.
Says then, the great stages of the bodhisattvas are full of cycles revealing and teaching both knowledge and liberation. So this is what you should look for, is both the liberation statements and the knowledge and the qualities around that liberation. And you work with that yourself. That's what you work with. All these texts, by the way, are working texts to bring out qualities. Yeah, they're to bring out qualities. So from Maitreya's Uttara Tantra Shastra, the phrase knowledge and liberation, it's a common Mahayana Vajrayana phrase referring to the 8 qualities of the Mahasangha, that is, beings who are on one of the bodhisattva stages. And here they've listed it. Sometimes you see these references and you go, oh yeah, it must be something pie in the sky reference. But no, it usually has a list somewhere. Knowledge of the profound nature of phenomena, the vast phenomena in all their multiplicity, discriminating awareness, wisdom, and the liberation of attachment, the emotional obscurations, liberation of hindrances or cognitive obscurations, liberation of the inferior, that is the obscurations of self-liberation, the Shavakas, and the self-liberation of the Pratyeka Buddhas, and the liberation of knowledge and liberation of liberation. I like that. Getting even, as Gampopa would say, you even have to liberate, this is kind of a rough translation, you even have to liberate your realization. Isn't that cool? Because you can now be going around going, I'm liberated, or I'm realized. Even that has to go. Even that has to go.
It's the pride, isn't it?
Not even the pride, but the confusion that you have become liberated. When in fact, you were never liberated.
Right.
There's just liberation. Liberation is already the pervasive nature of all phenomena. There was never a you to liberate. There's no being that you can liberate because it's already liberated. So if you say, I'm an awakened being, or I liberated myself, you're making a falsehood. So he said, even that has to get liberated. Yeah. And you think, okay, I don't need to know that because I'm not that far along, right? I don't need to know that. But actually you do. It's really good to know that. It's good to know that when you hear yourself saying things like that, I'm going to become liberated. That's a good aspiration. But always think, what am I liberating? You say, well, my afflictions. Listen to the language. My afflictions. If you look at your afflictions, what do you find? So I'm going to give you a challenge. Can any of you show me one of your afflictions? Like physically manifest it. No, I don't mean like cracking a dish or like throwing a recorder on the floor and saying, look, there's a clear example of anger. Not that. I want you to show me the anger. You say, well, if I raise my voice, that's anger. No, that's a manifestation. Show me the actual thing. Have you ever like caged it? What do you think? Bottled it? So there's people out there say, oh, it must be the testosterone. What do you think of that story? Do you think that's like a really, it's it? You know, you just put testosterone in a bottle and you look at it and go, that's anger? No, it's also for sexuality. It's for signaling molecules. It's for signaling cells. It's got about at least 30 different things it does in the body besides get you a little revved up. So that's not it. So tell me what it is. But yet all of us could probably go, that's anger, right? But what actually is it? If you put your finger in it. So has anybody ever put their finger in anger? You know, if like you're going to point to it for someone, you go like this, right? Like you can point to a Tonka. That's the Yangzab refugee. Yangzab refuge Tonka. Yes, you go like this, right? And you can point to it. What happens when you touch it? What do you realize?
Smear the paint.
Pain? Oh, clear.
Smear the paint.
Oh, paint, smear with paint. But if you touch it, what do you actually know you're touching? A concept. You could be touching anything. You say, no, but it's the precious Yangzab refuge tree. No, you're not touching a refuge tree. You're touching sensation in your mind. So what are you touching? So have you ever found all this afflictive stuff? Where does it reside? Someone will tell you it resides in your brain, right? Do you think it's actually sitting in your brain right now? Like there's a box of anger, and then when you do the right things, it pops up like a jack in a box. Says, I'm angry. What do you think it works like that?
It's almost like
Habitual
it's like a
pattern.
generator.
It feels like that, doesn't it? But go look at it, and it doesn't do that. But if you were told it does that, what would happen to you if you were told that's how it is? From a very young age, what would happen? You'd probably feel it's like a jack in a box or a war or whatever it is. So knowledge. This knowledge is not that there's something free now. What's free? Because when you know what's free, you can do something with it. What's freedom? If you know what freedom is because you've actually pondered, contemplated what has been freed, now you have a powerful ability to actually go and do something with it. So you can have a really good scientific researcher, but they can't teach. But they can do excellent research. You can have a wonderful person who's a musician, but they don't have the ability to teach it. Are you following? Mm-hmm. So the ability to actually teach it and know it is now a very useful ability to actually know what's been gained. Yeah. So page 14, next line. May the holders of those stages, having perfected their activities, carry happiness to the world and Dharma to all migrating beings. Isn't that extraordinary? So, this knowledge and liberation, the holder of those stages are the 10 bodhisattva stages. And having perfected their activities, it doesn't say kind of perfected their activities, semi-perfected, kind of maybe perfected, it says, and having perfected their activities, their Buddha activities, perfecting, carry happiness to the world. What kind of happiness? Relative happiness. Relative happiness to the world. And Dharma is what? Liberation to all migrating beings, of all classes of beings, all types of beings. So this is the key here. Beautiful, beautiful statement. Those with realization can bring both relative and absolute bodhicitta to all manner of beings. Does that mean you bring the same thing to all sentient beings? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You bring what is appropriate. How do you know what's appropriate? Skill and means, understanding, insight, involvement in life. And the holders of those stages, the bhumis, the grounds of bodhisattva realization, bring to perfection their activities of the conduct of the parami, of the 6 parami imbued with bodhicitta emptiness. So you have to realize it's worth looking at this. Developing your relative abilities, your relative talents to bring good states to beings, and the ability to bring Dharma to beings, which means they can reside in not relative happy states, in an evenness of great bliss. And I think you've had so many teachings on this, I'm going to pass a bit on that. So you want to bring to beings the unborn nature, that which is not subject to loss, that which is available to all, and bring forth non-conceptual consciousness. So can you bring relative happiness to all sentient beings, do you think? Are you going to be able to make all sentient beings happy?
No.
You know, it says in text that even a Buddha can't do that. Isn't that cool? Have you ever tried? We'll kind of wonder why you can't do that. I remember some very wise being said to me, so why do you, this talking about a certain retreat center that I was the resident teacher for, so why do you think that you can actually bring happiness here to all beings when your teacher can't? I started realizing, well, yeah, maybe it's not possible. Maybe trying to make everybody happy is just not possible, right? So what is the mission? Not to make everybody miserable, to bring them the freedom of the unborn, that which is not constructed, it's not constituted. Jaman Control, a guru of Nuden Dorje, and Nuden Dorje met Jaman Control near the end of his life, but did study with him for a while. And Jaman Control said, mind's nature, which is undifferentiable from the 64 qualities of enlightenment, and there's a list of those, is intrinsically pure, in itself luminous clarity, the emptiness, the ultimate dimension of phenomena. This nature of mind, referring to as the naturally present affinity, is the ground of everything in both cyclic life and perfect peace, both samsara and nirvana. It's going to be the same nature. It's described as having 3 distinguishing features. It's arisal in a continuous stream from time without beginning. That's called Tantra. Its presence due to the very nature of reality, and its resemblance to the 6 superior sense fields. So this is why we need to raise our sense fields to a really radiant, clear level, but that's not what we're going to, that's not the purpose, that's happiness. We want to raise to the insight of the empty nature of the sense fields. The sense fields we have have no permanent entity-ness. All right? So we have to find this continuum. And thus the holders of those stages, the bodhisattvas of realization of primordial awareness, bring Dharma to all migrating beings. And then a quote from Arya Maitreya in the Uttara Tantra Shastra. It says, the assemblies of bodhisattvas, of those who have understanding and thus do not fall back, has unsurpassable qualities, since their vision of inner primordial wisdom, which knows correctly and knows completely, is pure. Many excellent examples of bodhisattvas carrying Dharma to all migrating beings are found in the sutras. So it's worth looking at the sutras and the suttas and seeing what bodhisattvas do. And the Buddha says, this is a lovely, lovely quote from the Jewel Cloud. It's a sutra called the Jewel Cloud. Just got translated, by the way, just got retranslated. And the Buddha says in the Jewel Cloud, what you may wonder does the Bodhisattva's excellent Vajra-like diligent consistent. Noble son, Bodhisattvas muster diligence for the sake of the realms of beings. They are diligent so that those who have not transcended suffering can go beyond it. Those who have not yet crossed can be delivered. Those who are not yet liberated may be free. Those who are not yet assured may receive assurance, confidence. And so that those who have not yet truly and completely awakened may truly and completely awaken. That's what a bodhisattva does. One should study that and go, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. What factors can you do in there? Can you instill a person with a feeling of confidence, of Dharma? Can you have diligence in helping people over the years through their afflictive states? You just look at that list and it tells you what the qualities are. Saves a lot of time from dreaming it up, isn't it? You know, writing a book, dreaming it up. It's really great, right there. And then he says, Though they are beyond all worldly matters, those bodhisattvas do not leave the world. They act for the sake of all worldly beings within the world, unblemished by its defects. As a lotus will grow in the midst of water, not being polluted by the water's faults or being covered in water, those noble ones are born in the world unpolluted by any worldly phenomena. In other words, they're not tainted. So if I was to, let's see if we have this here. Do we have a skull cup handy? Is there a skull cup?
Probably in here.
Right? Yeah, let's have a skull cup. Thank you. Skull cup.
Yeah.
Bliss. If we were to fill this with Chateau Yquem nectar or beautiful ambrosial liqueur, you'd be interested, yes? Probably. But if it was filled with urine, maybe the teacher's urine, you go, ugh, right? But what is it? It's water. So if you don't know this, one is always approaching things literally as that which is right, that which is not right. That which is spiritual, that which is not spiritual. That which you should do, that which what you shouldn't. What does a bodhisattva do? Shows all kinds of possibilities. So I think you know this beautiful story of Gampopa. When Gampopa, who was a monk, went to visit and find his teacher Gampopa. Gampopa welcomed and had him wait a while because he had a bit of pride. Wait a while. And then Milarepa wanted a celebration of their meeting because he was going to be the spiritual heir, according to one story. Anyways, so the spiritual heir. So bring me a skull cup. This is for the secret initiation. Bring me the skull cup. And of course, beer was put in there. That's what we do. We put beer in, yes, to represent ambrosial nectar, chang. And then what did Milarepa do? He peed in it. He peed in it. Now, first of all, a Kadampa monastic wouldn't drink any liquor. He certainly wouldn't drink something as defiled as urine. What did Gampopa, when Milarepa offered the skull cup to Gampopa, what did Gampopa do as a monk? He drank it. So he was able to receive the tantric teachings. Do you see? It's really important. This is what a bodhisattva does.
Yeah.
Thank you for affirming that, Karmalaksha. But that's what a bodhisattva does. A bodhisattva is able to bring possibilities and show the conflicted states of mind, to keep pointing out freedom. So it gives examples. And so it says, as a lotus will grow in the midst of water, not being polluted by the water's faults. If you know the nature of pristine awareness, which is the nature of all phenomena, you don't get polluted by the conceptual contrivances like should, won't. Now you might say should. Let's not have that food, okay? The food's been left out, the meat's been left out, the fish has been left out for 2 or 3 days, and you might say, we shouldn't. That's a good statement. That's a good relative statement. But all day long, internally and externally, there are shoulds and shouldn'ts that are blocking any movement and awakening. Yeah? So how do you bring possibility and newness to people? You have to introduce it. So this is rising above the water's faults. Even urine. What would you say about urine? Is urine polluted? Who here would say urine is polluted? It's not. We can just go in the lab, put it through a syringe, a little filter, and we have pure water. We can distill it. We have pure water. So nothing actually is polluted. Yes?
You can do that, but
But so there's one of the things that you have to help with people is a bodhisattva goes and helps people with the buts.
But you had to do something to it.
That's right.
You had to change it to get it to the conditions. But when it's like once you were talking about solid walls.
Yes.
And you
I knew this was going to come because you're having a hard time with solid walls. There are no solid walls.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because you can go get your tank or your D9 or whatever.
No, just your fist.
Or your fist.
Or your foot. You want to try it, Dave?
But what I'm saying is,
go right through the wall. But Kim's sitting in front of you, so I wouldn't try it. It is conceptual, Dave.
It's conceptual at that time, but you had to change the conditions to then change your attitude that it's clean water or that the wall is not solid.
It's because there are no...
Wasn't it solid when you were standing there?
No, there are no fixed conditions. There's no fixed conditions for anything. They can all be changed when the conceptual mind changes.
So, is there any real thoughts? Is there anything such as Dharma? Because it can change.
No.
So
Dharma points to that which is unborn, unchangeable, pristine awareness. That's not conditioned. You're not going to kill it. You're not going to cut it up. You're not even going to find it. That's what allows the freedom. That's what allows the ability to not say but to say, but what could we do to change the conditions which are open and infinite? Every phenomena is a series of open and infinite conditions with infinite possibility. You just have to know the cause and effect to change it. So for instance, if you had a big concrete wall and you never knew there was a jackhammer, even the concept of jackhammer, you would never even attempt to take down the wall. But if someone introduces you to a jackhammer, the first thing to say is but, because you have no concept of it. And that's what we do all the time. We have no concept how to handle the unobstructed nature of the universe. Just change the causes and conditions. It's totally open. I don't know how more I can describe this. I'll try. Clouds, they feel like they're solid in the sky, don't they? They're not at all. Water, if you hit water, if you land on water the wrong way, you can die. If you enter the water the right way, nothing at all. It's easy. So you have to give me an example of what's obstructed. There isn't anything obstructed. There isn't anything that we can't do. How about time travel? Do you think we can do time travel?
No.
Why not?
Because we're the molecules that of the time travel.
See, that's just it. But we would have said that about cell phones 100 years ago. We would have said about flying airplanes. We would have said that about going to the moon. Of course we will. Time travel. How about teleportation? What do you think? Teleportation?
Star Trek does.
Yeah, good. Well, look at the room going. Because you've seen Star Trek. It's possible now. Of course there'll be teleportation.
This
Yes.
verse is also speaking to Tonglen as well then.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
It is indeed. Because once you understand that, then Tonglen goes very, very easily. It's very, very beautiful. It's a fantastic practice. But if you don't, Tonglen is a struggle and something you have to do. But actually, I'll tell you personally where Tonglen happened to me is before I ever learnt Tonglen, it happened in a retreat practicing one of the yidams. I'm trying to remember what it was. Amitabha. In an Amitabha retreat. And it was extraordinary. I just started breathing with the mantra, I think doing Vajra recitation. And the whole Tonglen just opened up. And I never knew that it was actually called Tonglen. Until it was introduced, I went, wow, that's what I've been doing for years. That's what I love to do in retreat. Just practice what was then told to me is called Tonglen. but that's just a natural progression of doing Vajra recitation and following the breath. When you merge the breath with Vajrayana practices of generation and completion stage, you discover Tonglen. What else would you do with all sentient beings but liberate, breathe with them, liberate them, and take on all that suffering which actually has no basis whatsoever? Change the view and everything changes. Just change the view. Climate change? Why isn't climate change? Why is climate change? Why is the remediation, let's say, of climate change being prevented? Simply view. Greed, hatred, delusion, pride, and jealousy. Just view. It could quickly change. Quickly change by instituting the right policies but there's all kinds of lobby groups that would like to stop it. So, unpolluted by any worldly phenomena. These noble ones are born in the world unpolluted by any worldly phenomena. That means they can actually see right through it. The Buddha describes the Bodhisattvas, Avalokiteshvara's activities as he teaches Dharma and virtue to asuras, the jealous gods. So there's an example there where Avalokiteshvara was was actually teaching relative happiness and relative dharma to asuras to help them. And so that's page 15, and I think we'll pause there today and then go into the virtues, 10 virtues tomorrow. This beautiful statement of the yogins being satisfied with the glory of the 10 virtues. So that's 15 pages, mission accomplished. Every time I read that, I've been reading that over and over and over again and chanting it, it brings literally sometimes tears to my eyes to read that and go, this is the entire summary of the highest teachings of Dharma for all sentient beings. Glorious. Glorious. Any questions? How are we doing there? Oh. You see, Dave, there's no time, but it flies. So this afternoon, let us, Michael, if you would lead us in the dedication, the aspiration, and the long life prayers. And also, before we say the long life prayer for Alter Rinpoche, I'd like to say a long life prayer for the Dalai Lama. And also we're going to do some prayers for those beings that we know who are sick, suffering from illness and infirmity. And we'll do that especially for some beings. So let's make a great dedication, aspiration, and long life prayers. Lama yiram chosu dejanche zindu drangye gawarab jamkum tamche senche dalla bonsu so Denge dangshan hangye tamche ki Lurang isu geshe gewale dusu sape gewa jene lang Done yope gewa drimenam Dute jangshu shampo yinsu go Seche galwe gompa tarchene Deshe gambe yompa zangchudo sho Regro kolo dambe sanshen gya Deze zembe trinle tarchene Zekten zezeng roku chola sho Nanjor dechu page jowe sho Gyoro korwe dunya junone Namke zompe sange jucho sho Yogen tandra dejo lepekai Devai sawa sampai tutane Korma nepe duso sanchenam Rangwe dangi gongwa yongyurne Kunzang Chokpe Yeshe Sangunzo Drigda Shoknu Longdu Ne Yorshi Shangdo Mime Duje Chogyushin Odang Sambe Chogyi Chogyusing Dula Dorje Sumdu Mijane Kunzang Yangbe Langdu Sangye Sho Siri Dudu Mita Kampatse Yongye Kambu Regne Zindu Jo Baro Orgen Lame Kushenge Zanga Dreshe Shurgyu Sarjegu Kashu Nisu Kechi Kyuparsho Yeshe Rangya Trotwa Lumayi Duje Yoku Michi Drugyune Lame Dangi Grabu Shobarsho.
Namo Bhagavate
10 directions and 3 times. Gurus, statements, 3 jewels. All victors with many grains of dust and field. All you please and they hate to me. From now on, as much virtue as urges action performed, matters, body, speech, and mind equal space, accumulated throughout the 3 times, and stainless virtue existing from the beginning, is dedicated together in the expanse of awakening. Having a state of knowledge, victors with their children. Its state of knowledge is Sukata's be totally perfected. The great stage pervaded by the demonstration of the wheel of knowledge and liberation. In the whole of those stages, their activities carry happiness to the world and Dharma to all migrating beings. And may yogins be satisfied with the glory of the 10 virtues, having purified all suffering of samsara of 6 causes. And quickly obtain the innocence of complete Buddhahood. Depending on the force of the accumulated roots of virtue, arising amazing connections of cause and condition, may the sentient beings the 3 times of existence samsara, having actualized the ultimate knowledge of their own awareness, perfecting all stages of primordial wisdom with conduct to Samantha Bodhisattva, abide in supreme space free of obscurations, without objectifying the meaningful benefit of others, according to the capacity of disciples. The rain of Dharma falls corresponding with their interests. Having ripened disciples in the state of the 3 Vajas, may obtain Buddhahood in the vast dimension of Buddha Samatva. This life, the life is conditioned, permanent, and empty. The constituents of the 5 elements are complete as a Buddha field of 5 families. Having risen in the form of the Guru of Odhyana Bhava, may all sentient beings led by those who have positive and negative connections, immediately go to the Kacharya, having ripened and liberated a whole range of disciples through many emanations, even as one primary wisdom, may obtain unsurpassed ultimate results. And first of all, a long life prayer for His Holiness Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama, although it's not widely known, is not very well, and very quietly prayers are being asked for his life and extension. So let us recite some long life prayers for him. For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of every benefit and bliss without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, you who are one with Avalokiteshvara, may you remain steadfast until samsara's end. For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of every benefit and bliss without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, you who are one with Avalokiteshvara, may you remain steadfast until samsara's end. Gangri rawe kowa shinkam su pangdan dewa malu jongwe ne chenre ziwang tenzen gyatso yi shampe sitte bardu ten yurshi. And then if I think all of you do know people, for instance, like Leslie in our community who's been diagnosed with cancer recently. And other friends that we know, maybe some of you know in New Zealand, Duncan, who's on another round of chemotherapy, and Tarsh and Hearn, very exalted, fine teacher of Dharma, a dear friend who's going through bouts of prostate. Another friend of mine who just got re-diagnosed after 8 years of remission with cancer. So there's many beings, and also Marilee, Sonam's partner, is very, very unwell. So those who you know, I can go down a very long list, of which I have a prayer list, a very, very long list. Those who you know, please say we'll say some long life prayers, very heartfelt prayers for their life extension, their healing, and also their supreme realization for the benefit of all sentient beings. So let us visualize ourselves and those selves as Amitayas, Yabyum, Guru Padmasambhava in union with Mandawara, as embodying all the longevity and deathlessness realization, and bringing them into that field of grand qualities. Om Buddhaya Gana Zidram Hong, Om Pema Gana Zidram Hong. All along with me. Om Benzraya Gana Zidram Hong, Om Karma Gana Zidram, Om Ratna Gana Zidram Hong, Om Karma Gana Zidram Hong, Om Buddhaya Gana Zidram Hong, Om Pema Gana Zidram Hong, Om Benzra Gada Zidram Hong, Om Ratna Gada Zidram Hong, Om Karma Gada Zidram Hong, Om Buddha Gada Zidram Hong, Om Pema Gada Zidram Hong, Om Benzra Gada Zidram Hong, Om Ratna Gada Zidram Hong, Om Karma Gada Zidram Hong, Om Buddha Gada Zidram Hong, Om Pema Gada Zidram Hong, Om Benzra Gada Zidram Hong, Om Ratna Gada Zidram Hong, Om Karma Gada Zidram Hong, Om Buddha Gada Zidram Hong, Om Pema Gada Zidram Hong, Om Benzra Gada Zidram Hong, Om Ratna Gada Zidram Hong, Om Karma Gada Zidram Hong, Om Buddha Gada Zidram Hong, Om Pema Gada Zidram Hong, Om Benzra Gada Zidram Hong, Om Ratna Gada Zidram Hong, Om Karma Gada Zidram Hong, Om Buddha Gada Zidram Hong, Om Pema Gada Zidram Hong, Om Benzra Gada Zidram Hong, Om Ratna Gada Zidram Hong, Om Karma Gada Zidram Hong. And do you have a voice left there, Michael?
Yes.
If you'd like to lead us in the long life prayers for our teachers, that'd be great.
Long life prayer for people who want to leadership.
Nyoyam Doyim Namedam Duringepai Sumsum Mise Gengi Koloikul Varshikin Yulaya Tarame Dengir Chime sul, ilang sambe concho sunanien, Langedro la darpe salvandrun, Drukten jasende la mingelwa, Jecho lama yankai sakchen sol, Nankage la jorvan lurlenking, Prime jamse namwa kunlanyom, Mame yongten den kyo shapten shing, Drime zesang yogi daryakshu.
Four orders of nobleness. You are the ultimate perfection of the unceasing wheel of adornment, the three secrets of beauty and youthful charm, the stainless dimension of ultimate reality. Today, please grant us a veritable festival of the accomplishment of deathlessness, purely serving the deity's meditation and taking the three rare and precious jewels as your crown. You plant the seed of ultimate liberation in countless living beings, unwittingly raising the victory of practice instruction. Supreme being, excellent teacher, we beseech you to live a long life. Remain here with us, whose entire heart is directed towards the gathering of Christian merit.
To manifest impartial loving kindness for equally upon one and all, whose enlightened qualities are utterly immaculate, and may your stainless good deeds fill all directions to the very limits of space.
And a very heartfelt long life prayer for Karma Ratner Rinpoche.
Yoyam namo guru naki,
Joye Hosu Kunzang Yampai Long, Dume Long Terin Se Orgenje, Arindu Munsu Duje Yong Ten Trur, Rexaram Judram Nedro Wadu, Zundu Gagui Denchen Dorje Gu, Mishe Kaden Zangbo Shakten Sul, Lundro Kamslo Pema Kandroid Sal, Omen Deshe Duden Nipode, Shedro Koloning De Lopalid, Ringlo Joshku Kundu Tarke Shro.
Namo Guru Naki, to the Spirit and
Master of the Key, in the vast expanse of Samantabhadra, the great luminosity of the ultimate space of absolute reality, is the Lord of Uddiyana, unlimited ascent, the primordial Brahmatata, the emanation of enlightened qualities, dispels the darkness that's done 5 generations, and trains disciples. Supper is the lamp of the display of pure awareness, tamer of living beings, imperishable offering for great wisdom, and dance moods of primordial unity. May the life force of Pal Zangpo be indestructible forever. May the appreciation of the Kalana Sutra and Tantra, the wheels of study and practice, the community of the quintessence, the teaching of the enlightened one, the listen down realm second to none, grow over the bad medications and spontaneously manifest, spread throughout all space and time. And when she had sung this, the 3 dakinis disappeared.
long life prayer for Lama Yongdu Chopi Jasi.
Yaya Vin Jogu Zeot Matme Tempete, Longtu Tukye Jumbo Servete, Choku Pema Kontreng Nupete, Kengse Nupe Shipa Dengir Son, Lamai Kashin Drupa Lurlenshin, Kangul Drokam Tanke Dom Zonton, Darbe Sabon Drum La Sherabyam, Joki Jalsen Menok So Jeson.
Dharma Kaya recognizes wealth of the immeasurable luminous light. Sabhukaya loving kindness, wealth of the great compassion. Nimanakaya abilities, wealth of the lotus skull garland. Bestow the auspiciousness of God's loving kindness and abilities, making great effort in consummating Guru's intent and speech, teaching profound instructions by skillful means to the appropriate transmigrated realm, spacious wisdom sowing the seeds of liberation. We pray that the victory banner of Dharma may flourish in harmony.
Goodbye there, folks in Roslyn. Goodbye, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's a really great joy to share these teachings with you. And 9:30 tomorrow?
Yes.
Great. And we'll carry on this wonderful text. Great.